20 seconds. Give Restream a little bit of credit.
It's asking me to click the go live button. Oh no, we're all good. We're in.
You have to punch it in. All right, we're in.
We're live. We're definitely live. We might have been live that entire time, but it is all good. Okay. Welcome back to Augment, everyone. Today we have on a very special guest. Many of returning viewers of the channel probably already know who this is. This is the infamous Andrew Wall. Just before we get into that, as always, big thanks to Illuvium for sponsoring the channel. They've released like 5 pieces of content this week. There is so much to look forward to. The best one in particular, in my opinion, is probably Illuvium Insider. There was so much dropped in that thing. A lot of art detail, a lot of detail of the overworld. But Illuvitalks was really awesome as well. Some epic discussion. Definitely go and check them all out. They're all on the Illuvium YouTube channel. And then there's people rotating through the Illuvium Twitch channel streaming as well. So don't forget to check that out. So welcome, guys. How are you going, TSG?
Yo, I am wonderful, man. I woke up early. I'm excited. Having Andrew on is always a blessing. I'm excited for a really good chat. What's going on, Andrew? How's things on your end? We've already been chatting before the camera, man. For the public.
Things are good, man. Things are really, really good. I'm doing my favorite thing I get to do in the world, which is talk about my favorite topics with like-minded people. So I'm happy. I'm doing great.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. So we'll just kick it right off. We have so much to go into. And after all the content this week, there's even a bunch of ad hoc stuff we need to cover. But just firstly, Andrew, you've covered it on many channels already. So maybe give us a really brief rundown. Can you tell us a bit about your role as you move from more marketing into more video, although the two coincide quite often?
Yeah, I mean, they're in the same department, right? So I went from running the entire marketing department to just focusing on original content for Illuvium. So obviously I'm a spokesperson for Illuvium, and I am doing all of our premium content. So that includes things like our explainer videos that you guys have seen. We've got in production an entirely new video assets package. Just as an example, all of our, we don't currently have official Illuvium intro, outro, watermark animations, transition animations, lower thirds to make our videos look premium. That's currently in production and should be out next week. Also, my team is also assisting with trailer production as well. And we have like premium video series that we're working on for Illuvium right now that are going to be taking us into launch. And so those premium series would be things like, the one I'm working on right now is, I don't know if you ever checked out Overwatch or any similar game to that. That's got unique characters, and they'll have like a preview video of that character, kind of with some cinematic shots and some pre-made shots. It shows them in action shooting stuff, details with some UI, beep, 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 their abilities and things like that. And then it's like a quick 1.5-minute video to give you an idea of what a character is like, a nice premium video. We're in production. We're going to make those for all of the lines of Illuvials. And that's what I spend most of my time on, is producing these sorts of premium video series. So you guys have only seen like a few of them, our staking explainer video and like our land explainer video. But we're going to see a lot more videos of that caliber coming out of my department. And then in addition to that, I'm also doing what I'm calling at scale video, taking interviews like this, chopping it into 10 million clips, and then releasing it on every platform in the world. And so between doing interviews, doing live shows, doing premium videos, and doing at scale videos, we're basically pumping out the message about Illuvium in every format possible on every platform possible, so that when search interest and interest goes back up, maybe in the next bull run, maybe never, who knows, Illuvium will have a massive library of content on the internet ready for people to consume to understand our games.
Yeah. So the next question I want to go into, so that's amazing. I didn't realize you were going to be so many like smaller videos, but there is so much to cover, right? So the next thing I really wanted to go into, and I think you covered a little bit, is what makes your video production strategy stand out from all the cinematic trailers and things that all the other Web 2 and Web 3 games are producing, Like this seems to be a pretty staple of anything that's AAA at least. What makes Illuvium's video production actually stand out?
That's a great question. So I came from the world of like bullshitty Web 2 media companies that are all about creating like fake trailer videos or like curated shots of their company and their products to make them look premium. The reason why I was attracted to Illuvium, and I put my entire media business on ice to come work on this project is because of Kieran Warwick. And so the reason, what I mean by that is this guy gets onto interviews and he just says whatever he actually thinks. 100% no filter, just as a completely honest person, publicly. Then once I looked at the rest of the way that Illuvium Game Studio operates, it's all about leaking everything, being honest about what's actually happening, and just being as honest and relatable as possible as a game studio. I have yet to be able to work on a brand that's actually willing to do that, and the leaders of that brand are actually willing to do that. And so that's number one, is that Illuvium's actually open and transparent with the public. Like when we do interviews, we're like actually real, not just doing like Illuvium doesn't view a media engagement like this one right here as like some defensive or adversarial moment versus the media. Like we view it as an opportunity to talk about what we're most passionate about. So that's number one. Number two, our explainer videos are second to none. I'll put my and Andy's videos against any explainer in any industry. It's as good as any explainer that's ever existed. Number three, our at-scale video production is setting us apart from everybody else. This month, we're passing 100 video uploads per month. In about a year from now, that'll be 300 or more. And the number and the platforms we're releasing on is now expanding. We're expanding now to Snapchat. And we're already added Reddit, CoinMarketCap. We're adding all these platforms you guys probably aren't even following or have no idea that we're on. We're adding all of these and increasing our distribution. So that's number three. I know how to run a content team like a media company because I've run media companies that get tens of billions of views per month, and I know how to scale up content. And so I'm taking those learnings to Illuvium. That makes us way different than any other games marketing company or games marketing organization that just thinks we need to market our video game in the normal way. Release a trailer, run some ads, go talk to the press, and hope that our game works out. I'm running this like a media company because I see all brands in the future, like your personal brands, the two of you, and you guys realize this as well. All of us are original content creators. Every brand needs to be an original content creation house if you want anybody to pay attention. We are different than everyone else in that way. And I think that's going to be really setting us apart here over the next 2 to 3 years.
Just quickly on that, last one for me, and then we'll move on to TSG's question. So I didn't really think about this before, and it just came to me off the cuff. But I mean, if you build up a large audience, you get tens of billions of views on your channels. Does any of that ad revenue go to RevDiz?
Tens of billions of views on my personal channels?
No, just like you were talking about building media companies up to those sorts of levels and that sort of thing.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. So, okay. So we're not, the videos we're releasing, we're not running like other people's ads on our videos, just to be clear. But you're getting at something I've never talked about publicly, so I'll talk about it now. I am very experienced at monetizing lots of videos. And so in the future, we'll use competitive Illuvium just as an example, or even just a Illuvium official video series as an example. If we onboard, let's say, a hardware partner, like a reputable brand like Logitech or Razer or something, and let's say we were to work with them, and let's say theoretically they were to make a Illuvium branded keyboard mouse combo and headset or something, the answer is yes. As a part of that partnership, I would try to get a sponsored aspect, and then yes, that would be included in RevDiz. And so it depends on how much leverage we have as a game, and what the economic opportunities are, essentially. But yeah, and so if we end up having, let's say, competitive Illuvium have a significant viewership, then of course we'll be onboarding premium sponsors for that. Of course. And so when it comes to competitive, though, the reason why I brought that up is a separate example. If we're hosting tournaments on Tier 5 land, that revenue will go to the landowner primarily, right? Not to RevDiz. Whereas if we did a video show like, let's say, I don't know, Illuvium Insider, and we worked with a hardware company that Logitech headphones and it's got Atlas on the side, then maybe that revenue could go to RevDiz, but the esports stuff would need to go to the Tier 5 land. So I brought up these two separate examples to say that not every dollar that would be made from every sponsorship would go to RevDis, because we have other obligations to T5 landholders, just as an example.
Of course.
Yep. Fair play. So, Andrew, we were actually talking about this before the camera went on, but I want to ask you publicly. So with all the video explainers and explainer videos, that you do and content like that, I'm sure people don't actually understand what goes into making a video into making content, that they just not in the industry like that. So can you tell us your role specifically? Are you just there recording your voice? Are you scripting it? Are you editing it? Like, what do you actually do in that creation part of things?
Yeah, so I'll just use the explainer videos as an example. So what I'll do is I'll spend about 10 to 15 hours just researching our products, talking to people, reading documentation and Confluence, chugging interviews, things like that. And then I'll understand a product well enough to be able to come up with a concept for a video. I did that for Illuvitars, for example. And then once I do that, I then have to distill down, I don't know, let's say 50 pages of information into a 1.5 minute video that explains it in a really simple way. And so then I end up coming up with the concept for the video. I write the voice script for the video. Then once the voice script is approved by the co-founders, they make sure that everything I say is accurate. Then I come up with an action script. So I'll have the voiceover built out. Then I come up with all of the visual actions that should come along with that voiceover. Then I come up with all of the original assets that need to be created, the icons, the graphics, the movement, etc., the music that needs to go into the video. And then I take that to my creative director that we've hired now full-time, Andy Kang. And once I have the assets, once I have the music, I've recorded my voiceover, I have the entire essentially storyboard and action script, I hand it over to Andy. Then Andy takes the script, we review it. Then he creates what's called style frames is what it's called. And the style frames are essentially like a still image that represents every single scene that I have in my brain. And he wants to make sure that that style frame is what I have in my mind for each scene. Once we go through a revision process on that and I approve, then he goes and produces the rough draft of the explainer video, revision phase, final draft, revision phase, final explainer video. And then I will go have the thumbnail people go design the thumbnails, and then I'll facilitate the release of the video. So I do everything but the edit for the explainer videos.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, for all the audience members in chat, that's actually what it takes going into making these pieces of content. Even for myself and Scoriox, they might just be 10-minute videos, but boy, do they take longer than 10 minutes to make. So it's a lot of effort. There's probably 60 to 80 man hours, let's say, goes into one explainer video, probably of a 1.5 minute video. That. It's crazy. It's wild to think about. All right. So the next question I want to ask you, Andrew, is what do you think in regards to, because obviously we're trying to take market share away from team fact tactics. It is what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. What do you think needs to happen in regards to videos and explainer videos and kind of cinematics in that area? Do you think that's going to play a part in attracting and taking away that market share? Or
sure,
do you think what do you think about that?
I don't know. Here's the way I view. I've taken market share away from number one players before, and I've destroyed them. And it's really simple to do. You have to have more of a long view. So I did this in the video network space. With TGN, when I came in there, we were the number 19th largest network, and our biggest competitor at the time was Machinima, and they were just massive. They had a YouTube channel, guys, with 1 million subscribers. Wow. This was in 2010, and it seemed impossible for us to ever get close to them. And anyway, we ended up absorbing all of our competitors and becoming 10 times larger than the second largest behind us. And the way that we did that was we always took a long view on how we approach the market. When our competitors spent their time and resources on, let's say, flashy marketing, like big events, big booths, trailers, big celebrities, and a bunch of nonsense, essentially, We instead spent our money making our product better, our network better, and our service better. And then over a 5-year period of time, eventually their customers just left and came over to us because we had a superior product. Illuvium's taking a similar approach to the entire gaming market. We're investing into creating the best product in our space. And so this is like a product first solve here. What I'm trying to say is I can't just flashy marketing my way into taking TFT players over. This game legitimately needs to be as good as, if not better than TFT to get TFT players to come over. That's number one. Okay. If that becomes true, and that is not in my control as a marketer, but if that is true, then yes, I have many ways I can very much steal TFT players and bring them over. So number one would be to hire so either for free, and most of them will do it for free. Some will need to be paid. Every TFT influencer in every language in the world will be playing Illuvium on their channel. They'll be reviewing it. They'll be interviewing us, and we'll be running advertisements on their channel at some point. And that is when our game is solid, the competitive is ready, and it's a polished product. Then we will be taking it to those markets. Also, we're going to take interviews and do sponsorships and things with TFT media outlets. And in addition to this, we're going to run like a part of the competitive strategy will be to pull competitive players over from TFT to test our games, to provide feedback on our games, and then to advocate for our games within those communities, within the TFT community, because they have credibility. So all of these things I just talked about is basically just butting in on their community and saying, hey, we've got a game that's better than TFT, and take a look. And the thing is, if it's compelling and if the game truly is as good, if not better, the community will come over. If the game is not as compelling and it truly is not better, they won't come over. And it's that simple. It really is that simple. It's a product first thing. The product has to be better. If the product is not better, people are not coming over. It's that simple. So that's on the developers. And so I know what it takes. I know what it takes to get the product in front of people and to have them make that decision of whether they want to migrate over. But if the product's not compelling enough, it isn't. So hopefully it will be. And that's why it will be released when it's ready.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I just wanted to add one thing before we throw to Scoriox. It was hilarious because I've never actually played TFT in my life. I'd never played it. And I just made a video, I think it might have been yesterday, about the free-to-play stuff, going over Grant's leaks the other day while Kieran was doing the town hall, him showing off the T-Zeros. And there was a scene where I edited the T-Zeros and then Teamfight Tactics next to it. And I can't believe the difference in graphics because I'd never really looked at Teamfight Tactics closely or anything like that. But yeah, so in regards to we need the product to be better, I think graphically and visually, 100% already at this state now.
Yeah.
It's I'm not going to sugarcoat it, shits on Teamfight Tactics. As for the gameplay, I haven't played that. We'll have to get people like Frobe and other people experience to talk about it. But mainly, pretty much everything I've heard has been positive. So, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that specifically, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, so I would think about this. So there's an example in our industry right now that we can look at for some guidance on how this type of strategy can work. And that's Gods Unchained. So in my opinion, in the market right now, Gods Unchained is the best Web3 game on the market.
Yep.
Without question. There is no game that I have experienced that comes even close to being at the quality of that game in the market today. And the reason why I'm bringing them up as an example is clearly they're trying to take Hearthstone's market share, right? Obviously. That game hasn't gone incredibly hard on marketing yet. You might be like, what? Why not, bro? Why aren't you blowing millions on advertising? Because they're still making the game as good as, and then later better than Hearthstone. And so their player base has been growing steadily over time. And they've been improving the game over time steadily. And I think if they can get their product to be as good as, if not better than Hearthstone, then there's an opportunity, there's an opening there for them to market heavily to that audience and then to bring market share over. But they're not making the mistake of assuming that people want to own their digital assets. And that is a compelling enough proposition to get people to want to come over. They're not making that mistake, and we're not going to make that mistake either. The game needs to be better first, then the whole ownership and what have you. needs to come second. And so I think if Gods Unchained might be able to do that with Hearthstone and be able to migrate some of that audience over. And I know for a fact Illuvium will be able to do that with TFT. And the difference between Gods Unchained and Illuvium is Illuvium, as you can see, is going really, really hard on the curb appeal, on the initial aesthetic and the initial wow factor with graphics, and making sure our graphics aren't just better than TFT's graphics. It's not even like in the same ballpark. Like TFT's graphics are like a 3 or 4 out of 10. Ours are going to be like a 9 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not even going to be close. And so that aspect will be on lock 100%. The gameplay and the competitive being seasoned enough. I think we're going to need like a season or two, if you will, of Illuvium to get it there. So then we know we're ready to heavily market to TFT.
I think
understandable.
I think for me, where it comes to me is the metrics for graphics and things I feel are a little bit less important than doing something new. That's a big element for me as far as it goes from taking players that are interested in one thing and directing their attention somewhere else. And Illuvium is doing that, right? TFT and every single auto battler does not have a 1v1 mode at all, right?
Yeah.
So Illuvium isn't really the same game. It's the same genre, which helps, but it's its own game and it's its own thing. And that is enough to catch the attention of people. And then you can add in 8-player battle royale or whatever if you want to afterwards, but you have more for them to experience. Because there's not really heaps of point for someone to experience the same thing twice. They've already got all their money in TFT. They've already got all those skins and assets. Why would they want to leave that? Because there's a different game that's something new, that's something better in a lot of different ways, and that's where it settles for me.
Yeah, what I would add to that is Illuvium obviously has the overworld experience, which TFT does not have, and the whole Pokemon collection aspect. TFT doesn't really have that, and there's also, and I can't say too much here because I can't drop bombs about gameplay elements, but let's just say the ability to build that collection, to improve your collection, to upgrade your collection, and to sort of have progression with the characters that you're playing with, your Illuvials and the different aspects of leveling up and what have you. TFT just doesn't have that really either, really. And it's very light in TFT. And so all of these things make Illuvium way beyond TFT's depth because of all of these surrounding systems that are around it. The auto battler is just one component. And what's also interesting is that we have Illuvium Zero, our land game, that then ties in to the whole economy and ecosystem of that ties back into auto battler too. And so it's so much more dynamic. It's so much deeper. It's so much more innovative. And there's so many more different types of experiences in Illuvium than TFT has to offer. So, at the very least, we need to have the auto battler comparison. We need to be as good as, if not better. But everything else we're offering beyond the auto battler, without question, Illuvium's going to stomp in this case.
Yeah.
So we'll move on from all of those topics for now. And I just want to have a really quick question about Illuvium Zero. So Johnny in the Discord said that the next update for Illuvium Zero will be a lot of UI-based things and stuff, and they're getting really into some of that polish. Timeframes and things, I don't know. I don't even know if you know. It's not really relevant. After that, all that's done will be the alpha release. What sort of video content do we have to look forward to? And do you think that will come a decent amount of time before the alpha's actually released?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it should. So we were talking internally, and we were initially going to do some like gangster cinematic or whatever for Illuvium Zero Alpha, and we decided not to because it just seemed absurd to put in that much resources into that phase of Illuvium Zero right now. However, there is another video, scope of video, that is being worked on right now on my team. Andy Kang's involved with that one. To my knowledge, and this could change actually, because I know the scope of this video is shifting a lot right now. To my knowledge, this one would be more featuring the massively upgraded look of Illuvium Zero. Andy would be working on the UI aspects of the video because obviously it's mostly like a user interface game, right?
Yeah.
Like the buildings look pretty, the land looks pretty, but basically you're navigating menus and stuff. It's a town builder game. And so we need to make sure all of that stuff pops in a video. And it's meant to communicate to landholders what they're in store for. So we'll keep you posted on that. But the scope of it is not going to be an epic cinematic where, we're going to knock your socks off right now. We determined that would be a inappropriate use of resources.
I would agree with that. I think that makes sense.
But the thing is, like, just to give you some insight, like, we very quickly escalate to 25 out of 10 in Illuvium. Like, we're like, yeah, we should show off some gameplay. Yeah, we should. What if we put a little premium video on, a couple more people come in the face? Yeah, but what if we did this fucking cinematic, right? You're flying through all the buildings and like, I'm calling up the third-party studio, and like we go all the way really quick sometimes. So, we always want to go big and do it the best we can. And but in this case, I don't think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think with the team that you guys have and the product that you guys have, I can imagine that being a thing that happens very, very often where you guys just amp up real quick.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, before we move on, I do need to just address Dick King's in chat. You want to have a one-on-one TFT? I've never played before, but I'm definitely down for that. So we'll set that up. All right, Illuvitars, Andrew. I'm actually, instead of going straight into the question that we've written down, I'm going to go off the cuff right here and kind of add to the first question. But regarding the utility, we've just had the poll, in the IIP chat about either we wait for the full utility of Illuvitar and then have the sale and utility all at one time, or have the sale first and then have the utility as a V2. So I'm actually going to ask Andrew Wall, the person, not the executive producer, if you had to vote on either option A, sale and then V2 later, or B, sale and V2, sale and utility at the same time, how would you go and explain your reason behind that, your thoughts behind that?
I'll tell you what I've said internally. And look, ultimately, Kieran has the strongest voice on the marketing team.
Of course.
But he always listens to my opinion, and he really takes it seriously. Quick answer to Thulke's question in chat. Illuvium Zero sound and music. There's this guy named Nico on our team. He does our sound. He's great. I think he's doing the sound on that. So, as far as which one I want, the moment I saw the album and collection concept internally, and it was now my job to provide feedback and talk about what marketing would want to do, I made a huge internal pitch to Kieran and Aaron and everyone that would listen that this collection feature fundamentally transforms what Illuvitars is and takes it way beyond the scope it was in before, and to me, I feel that it completes the product. And as soon as I saw the collection feature and the mock-ups of it, which you guys have yet to see, I realized this product is incomplete without it.
Yeah,
that's my personal opinion. And so my vote would be, in a perfect world, I would have V2 launch with the sale.
Yeah.
Because, and the reason why is I would want people to be able to buy their Illuvitars, and then after they buy them, slot them into the collection, and then earn the rewards while they're buying. And I think that their ability to slot into the collection while they're buying will generate more sales.
Yes.
In my head, that makes sense. And I like that for a marketing campaign. And it gives me a lot more to market when it comes to Illuvitars. And I don't have to imagine a world where you could do this collection as a part of the marketing. I can literally have you do the collection. Similar to Land Sale, right? Land Sale was tough because I didn't have an Illuvium Zero game I could show you during that campaign. That was really limiting, in my opinion. It's imagine a world where there is a game where you can play this land. Imagine if we had done that Land Sale, but I had this premium gameplay or this like much better looking gameplay to show people. this is what it'll look like to play your land as a part of the campaign, I feel like that would have been stronger. So personally, I would want V2 to be here during the sale. That being said, there are so that would be my personal vote. But then my executive producer and marketing executive vote, I have to take a look at the reality of timelines here on when we need to launch products and move forward. And the bottom line is that the community has been waiting on Illuvitars for a long time. And Kieran respects that. And that's his main retort to me. He's like, Andrew, I agree with everything you're saying about the collection and the impact of it. I'm ape shit for it too. But at the end of the day, people are waiting for Illuvitars. And so are they really going to be willing to wait? Maybe, who knows how much longer to be able to get this collection feature? Is that going to hurt trust? Is that going to hurt credibility? Or we need to make good on our promise? That's actually the number one priority that Kieran has in his mind in the internal conversations. And that's his number one retort to my argument that we should launch V2 with Illuvitar sale. I think in either case, Illuvitar sale will be successful. It just depends on how long we feel we can extend that timeline. And as it stands right now, my impression from Kieran's opinion is he doesn't want people to have to wait longer. He really wants to get this product into people's hands like was promised, right? And that's his number one priority. Anyway, that's my honest take.
Yeah. All right, cool. Actually, I want to add a little something on there, but I actually want to get the chat involved as well. I've seen some people already kind of say what you guys want, but let us know. Would you guys be okay with waiting? Do you guys want it now? Like, let us know what you guys are thinking. Andrew, the thing I wanted to not ask you, but kind of to speak about with what we're talking about is in regards to the trust of the community. This is just my personal opinion, and tell me what you think about what I'm saying. I think it actually, yes, we don't want the community to have to wait longer than they already have. But considering that we've already kind of given out the land sale, we've had the land sale, and we haven't had the utility from that just yet, I think another sale or revenue generation kind of event without utility again, that could possibly leave more of a bad taste in people's mouths, rather than actually having a full sale plus utility off the bat. So yes, it's beneficial for revenue, because with the utility there, people are going to say, yo, look, I just need one more to collect to finish my collection. So it incentivizes them immediately to get another one. But also it's like, yo, we get to play with like you said, it's an unfinished product. It's like buying, I don't know, a MacBook without a screen or something like that, right? Like, do we want to sell an unfinished product? That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, people now their perception is it's an unfinished product because I know where you want to go with it.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't have been an unfinished product if we hadn't have said anything about collections, right? It would have been the finished product that we told you all along, which is you have your accessories, you have your base portrait, you mint them into your final Illuvitar, you can use that in the games, right? That's what Illuvitars is supposed to be. And so, that's what happens when you have to use this governance process is we have to reveal to the public, to you guys, what we have planned. Yeah. And unfortunately, that now publicly reveals the scope change of the product. And so now people think it's an unfinished product if it doesn't have this increased scope. Isn't that crazy? Normally, companies don't have to run into that problem because they don't have to reveal what's in their pipeline. Yeah. But Illuvium does because we're not the boss.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
We just have the idea. You're the boss.
Yeah. For me, it's very much a matter of time frames, right? That's just what it boils down to. Like, if we could say have Illuvitars tomorrow, or we can have Illuvitars in 4 weeks with all the changes, then I would choose the 4 weeks. But if it's have it tomorrow or have it in 3 months with all the changes, then my opinion starts to change and shift. You know what I mean? But like, I agree. Like, ultimately, making as much money for the DAO is the goal here, because then they can do even more cool stuff, right? And if this, there's, as you just said before, there's a good chance that this is going to make more money for the DAO in the long term. So that is what I would lean towards personally.
I think no matter which one we decide to do, it'll be fine. Because this product is now complete. That's the good news. The good news is that I think Roger came up with the idea. The good news is that Roger came up with the idea of this collections and albums feature.
Mm.
It's like if he hadn't done that, it would have been like us selling land without Illuvium Zero.
Yeah.
It would have been an incomplete product. And so in any case, it will be complete at some point, whether that's going to be during the sale or later. Now we have a complete product. And that's the good news. And it will be complete in everything, of course, before we launch the game and all of that.
Yeah.
So that I think at the end of the day, when we're a year ahead of time, 2 years ahead of time, looking back on this, it'll be inconsequential one way or the other.
Yeah.
Personally,
Exactly.
I honestly think so.
It's the same like the trailer, right? Everyone was bugging that it was like 15 minutes late, and now no one even remembers that.
Oh man, that trailer release was wild, man.
That was a wild event. Yeah.
Grant, I was in there. I was the one that pressed the red button or whatever to send it out. Grant, like I'm telling you, they rendered the final trailer
A couple minutes before.
like literally the nanosecond the final render hit our chat. Grant was like all caps typing, upload that fucking video. And like I got it on there and he wanted status updates every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And like it was wild. It was wild.
Yeah.
That trailer came out hot. They were squeezing in every little extra bit of sparkle they could in that. It was really crazy. That was a crazy trailer release.
It was a fun time. It was a fun time. Everyone was it was a great time.
Yeah, it went up to the wire, but that's Grant, man. Grant, just like he said in the stream today, it's either dog shit or perfect. And so in his mind, if it's dog shit, he's going to push it up to the final deadline to make it perfect. That's just kind of how he is.
Yeah. I like that attitude 100%. I like that attitude. Yep. Scoriox, before we move on, I'm actually just curious, real quick, Scoriox. I voted for B. I voted for the same as Andrew, sale and utility. What did you vote for? I'm curious. Or did you vote?
I haven't seen.
If you want to share publicly,
I haven't seen the vote yet, but I'd probably vote for having everything all at once because I know Illuvium Zero is kind of around the corner and PB2 and things. I think PB2 is going to be an interesting one. I think as soon as that comes out, everyone's going to forget about everything else for at least a month. Sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they will. Ooh, shiny things. Yeah,
exactly. As long as we're getting some consistent things, even like the Overworld stream last night, and maybe we can use that as an opportunity to talk about it. Even the Overworld stream last night was one of those things. It was a shiny thing that made me forget about everything else, and it
many
was.
shiny things.
To be honest, the videos the videos really ramped up this week. Do you want to tell us a bit more about your plans for video moving forward, and is it going to continue to ramp up?
Oh yeah, this is baby steps right now. So this is very, very, very early. The marketing team is tiny right now at Illuvium. Because we're pre-launch, and I agree with the amount of resources we're allocating to marketing right now. But when it comes to content production, personally, I'm now going to be doing 3 live streams per week, probably. So I'll be doing a Illuvium showcase every Tuesday. I'll be doing an Illuva Talks every Wednesday, and I'm trying to do an Illuvium Insider every Friday. If I can get Insider. Insider is a wild card because we're not always ready to share something fire. And I don't want to just fire it up and be like, hey, here's Tom. Tom is HR. And like, nobody cares about Tom. So like,
HR,
I don't want to, so I want to do like cool stuff. Right. So that's a wild card. Plus I'm doing 2 interviews per week. Right now we're doing 100 video uploads per month between 2 YouTube channels, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. We're going to be re-adding Reddit and CoinMarketCap, and we're going to add other platforms. And once we build out this strategy for releases in English market, we're going to then take this strategy and then move that into other markets as well and have Illuvium French, Spanish, Arabic, Russian. And so the number of video releases will go in English market, probably will cap out at about 300 per month, somewhere in there. Is my experience. And then once you go global, then it moves into the thousands of videos per month across the world. As you localize the content you've made in English into all other languages, and then you build out ambassadors and people to be the Andrew Walls of Arabic market, for example. And so that's where we're headed with content production. And it was like what I mentioned earlier. I'm not doing traditional games marketing. Illuvium is not a traditional game studio. And we are not in 2010, where you can just release a trailer and you can do traditional marketing and throw $1 million at your trailer ads and you just win. In today's space, people's attention span is as long as this stream is going and then it's over. What's the next piece of content I can consume about this thing? What's the next
Yeah.
piece? What's the next piece?
Yeah.
What's the next piece? And so we are going to be scaling up video production, live production. We've also got podcast. So we're taking our interviews and our shows like Illuvitalks, editing that into a premium podcast and releasing that on all podcast platforms.
Cool.
And I'm just going full-blown media company with this thing.
Yeah.
So that's my strategy.
That's super interesting. All right. Also, I think it's time. We're actually 41 minutes in. So let's move into the whole. We always go real quick. Let's go into the giveaway. So for anyone that's watching, if you're kind of used to and you know what to expect in our show, you know that around this time we do a bit of a giveaway. Our guests ask a question. So Andrew, any question you want, throw it to the chat, and someone's gonna walk away $100 richer.
$100, baby. All right. So here's my question. If you could combine any two video games into one video game to make the ultimate game that's the only game you can play for the rest of your life. Let me repeat that one more time. You take video game number 1 plus video game number 2, you combine them together, and it's the only game you can play for the rest of your life. What would that be? What would that combo be? I want to see game 1 plus game 2, and I'm going to pick the best winner from chat.
What people say. Yeah.
And you do not get extra points for putting Illuvium in there. It's not even
creative.
a video game.
Be creative, guys. Be creative, guys.
I know
you can say other video games. It's okay.
Yeah. I know my own answer already, 100%. And I know that this is kind of what Illuvium is working towards anyway. So I hate to say it, but it's been true since I was a kid, right? It's Monster Hunter World style stuff with Pokemon, but there needs to be the added functionality of as much freedom as you can. So Pokemon Let's Go allowed you to ride on top of any Pokemon that was large enough. That functionality in all of this, but basically the idea of because Pokemon always didn't feel very grand, because your Charizard you find in a bush and it appears up in front of you and you battle it, right? I like the idea of riding around on something or riding on the water on a Blastoise or something, and a Charizard's flying, and you're like, Blastoise, go and knock that thing out of the sky. You know what I mean? Like, I like the idea of, the full Pokemon experience thrown directly into Monster Hunter World. It would be amazing.
That's cool. I like that answer. How about you, TSG?
For me, I've got two answers, right? One's a bit of a cop-out because it's just one game, but it's already kind of like a mix, and it's Super Smash Bros. Because it's essentially just it's a fighting game, but it has elements of every game that all the characters have. So that's kind of a cop-out answer. But my real answer that I've been waiting for since I was a kid was a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic type game and Harry Potter, like the Harry Potter universe. So you can explore Hogwarts fully, actually choose to be a good or bad wizard. And I think they're already making that game. So I think Hogwarts Legacy
comes out later this year or January.
Later this year. Yeah. So that's honestly, guys, truth be told, that's why I started being a content creator. I was like, let me kind of build up a bit of a presence. So when that game comes out, I can stream that game and people want to watch me play that. That was the game that started everything. So I'm super excited.
That's cool. I'm on a similar page with you. So if I were to come up with my own, I would say I would want, and this is a real answer, guys. This is not just because I work with Illuvium. I would want an IP like Illuvium, in a Warcraft 3 style game. So I want a fantastical, eye-popping intellectual property with incredibly bright colors. So that could either be like a Cyberpunk 2077, or that could be an Illuvium. I like these neon colors, like these lights in my space. Neon colors, fantasy, bright popping colors. I want just like the aesthetic of the beautiful night city for me, and like Tokyo or Hong Kong at night is my favorite aesthetic. It's so inspiring to me, and it fills my soul with happiness. I would like to see an aesthetic like that. Either it may be Illuvium or Cyberpunk 2077, or even the Avatar IP in an RTS game like Warcraft 3 with heroes and with the buildings that are dynamic. I would just be able to look at that and play it for the rest of my life. That would make me so happy. I do have a winner from chat though.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yo, Andrew, I do need to say before you say that, by far, this was the best question that we've had on our podcast. So well done, man. This is the most creative question. Amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The winner, and I'm kind of on the same page with you on this one, TSG. The winner here is Silent Sage, whose answer was Elden Ring plus Harry Potter. So I feel like Harry Potter is held back by the fact that it is like they need to kind of clean it up a bit for kids. And it's a little weak sauce on the fantasy and aspect, but when it goes dark and it goes more adult, that's when Harry Potter gets freaking great. Yeah, just a Dark Souls style, super dark. Like literally, you are a child and you died constantly in combat, and just this hardcore dark fantasy game in Harry Potter. That sounds fantastic. That was a great answer.
Yeah, the world is like the world and universe of again, I can talk about Harry Potter. By the way, any Harry Potter fans, W in the chat to let me know how many of you are. Scoriox, let's move on because I'll be stuck in Harry Potter for the rest of the.
Hold on. Somebody pitched Turok the Dinosaur Hunter in chat. Get out of here, man. Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. How old are you? You're like 40 like me?
Someone put Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man. That was the stupidest answer.
The Dota 2 and StarCraft 2 one killed me. It killed me.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dota 2 was created from an RTS game called Warcraft 3. So bringing it back into the RTS thing is interesting. I don't know. I feel like there's something.
Can you imagine what that would be like? Yeah, just go play Warcraft.
Just play the original. Yo, Andrew, we're almost at the hour mark. I don't know how you are for time. Is it possible if we stretch it just a little bit longer, or
I have some more time? Yeah, I have some more time.
Awesome.
All right, so Illuvium Zero, Illuvitars, and Overworld Private Beta are really close. All right, and the second private beta for the survival mode. All I want to know is, do you think there will be large gaps of time between them? Do you think they're all going to kind of come together in the next couple of months, and then Overworld towards the end of the year, or how are you feeling?
Yeah, so this actually gives me massive anxiety because I try to get clarity on this on our internal marketing meetings. I'm like, when is fucking Overworld going to be ready? Because I need to have the campaign. Like, we can't launch. Or we don't want to, not that we can, but we don't want to launch two campaigns simultaneously on top of each other, stomping each other out.
Yeah.
And so I think we might be in a situation where we have to have one of the the beta and perhaps, I don't know, have one of the products ready, but we delay one simply for the go to market part of it. So the marketing team has enough breathing room to market the other one.
Yep.
And so that's how close they are. So I'm asking, what's your timeline? When's that going to be ready? And it's like, well, it's looking like Illuvium Zero Alpha and the private beta and Illuvitars are all coming in hot, same timeline. I'm like, shut up. They can't come in hot at the same timeline. How can I market three things at the same time? So that is the actual internal conversation right now.
Yeah.
And it gives me great anxiety. So I have to plan for all three, and the marketing team has to plan for all three at the same time. And that's literally the most updated to date information that is literally being talked about internally that I have. And also we ask internally project managers, be like, Price is Right style. If you were to guess, not as the project manager on this, but just as a guy, when would you guess it's going to be out? And they'll tell us, and I'll be like, you're telling me the same time as the other guy. So anyway, that's where we're at. They're all very, very, very close, and they'll all be ready very close. And so I think we'll need to talk with Kieran and decide. An executive decision will have to be made on okay, this is the final order, and we're going to delay this one, give it like a 2 week or 3 week or whatever buffer for go to market on each one.
That's perfect.
Yeah, regarding what you're kind of just talking about now, with the speed of things, we're putting products out and development. Just yesterday we saw. It depends on where you are, but on the Illuvium Insider with Grant, we saw
it was this morning for me.
Yeah, it was last night. It was last night for me. So, you've had a long day. All right, so we saw so much stuff in the overworld, stuff that we've never seen before, and it was just mind blowing. I'm gonna make a video about it today. It was just incredible. Can you actually tell us and something that you mentioned in the Illuvium Insider, you said that you saw the block out of Brightland Steps, and now you've seen what it looks like now. Can you tell us, like, can you talk to us about the speed in which that you're seeing this team work? Because you've had so much experience in the industry. Like, can you kind of compare it to what you've seen in legacy studios and other vets in game development and design? Like, what's this? Talk about the speed in which that the Illuvium team is just going at this. Is this normal? Is what I'm asking.
No, it's not normal. So, like, I don't know how long ago it was. Maybe 45 days ago, maybe. Grant came to me. He's like, "Bro, I got to show you this crazy shit." And it was like, I don't know, 1:30 a.m. or something, Grant's time. And it was something like, I don't know, 7 p.m. for me. I'm like, okay, well, if the co-founder needs me, I'm gonna hop on there. He's like, check this shit out. So he started he does these like 20-hour work days and stuff. And that's how he gets so much done, by the way. And so he started screen sharing Brightland Steps to me. And he's like, look at the scope of this, Andrew. Isn't this, can you even imagine what this is going to be like? I mean, and so he's like on top of one of the cliffs. He's blocking the space out. There's no textures on anything. There's no assets anywhere. It's just the scope of that space and how big it is. And he was just in this wow moment of like how unbelievably huge the space is going to be. He was telling me about his inspiration from other games. And he was telling me about how his vision for this particular space, he gets to do something that he never got to do in the trailer industry or in his previous experience of creating this stuff to the umpteenth level. And the whole thing was just white and it was just shapes everywhere. And so we were both, I was like, wow, this is going to be gigantic. And he's like, yeah, look at these bones under here. And look, and he walked me through all of the blocking stage. And then 45 days later, now it looks like what you guys saw on the stream. And so like looking really, really amazing. And so that is not typical. Normally that would take like 6 months to 9 months, I think, to build out spaces like that in my experience with other studios. And you would probably outsource everything for building the whole thing out. But Grant could tell you more about that. But I've seen progressions on levels, let's say, many times across many games where I will test an early version of a level that it's missing textures, doors, roofs, and it's just like a functional, like it's literally not even textured. And then normally they don't come back to me with the textured version or the final version or the beta version till like a year later.
Crazy.
But in this case, it's just like 45 days. That was just that example for me personally. They might even be able to go faster. I think it just depends on which regions have priority with the team. And so Grant has put together this team of ice cold killers that come from like the movie trailer space and like the cinematic space and stuff, not just necessarily the gaming space, that are making things that look better than you normally see in video games. And that's what's so wild about it. It's like looking like movie good. And that's what's so crazy. And as he was going through and blocking out the space, he showed me a bit about how he works. He will just sit down for like 6, 7, 8 hours, just put on these like, I don't know, $3,000 headphones he has, and just like work at like almost like these like inhuman speeds, like moving rocks around, just click, 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 click. And he's like moving all this shit around, like almost like he's like in Inception, like creating a new reality. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. When he's like blocking this out and making the space happen, and he'll like move like 10 rocks and a tree and a waterfall, and he'll like build it all, and then he'll sit back and look at it and go, fuck, man. God, that's gonna be good. And they'll do it again and be like, no, it's dog shit. And he'll just like make these changes, and then it's like you'd imagine like a crazy, like eccentric, like master painter would be about making their painting. He's that guy, 20 hours a day with his stupid headphones on, just working on the stuff all day. And that's how it gets done so quickly, is like he's literally giving everything he's got. to that creative process. And it's wild to watch it happen in real time.
Yo, by the way, you are going to be getting made into another meme. I just seen a really good idea of memeing you for the click, click, click thing. So I appreciate that. I'm definitely going to do that. That's a new one right there.
All right. So you talked in Illuva Talks on Twitter a long time ago. Now I can't remember it word for word, but it's something it's stuck with me really, really well. And I'm going to go back and find it. You better believe it. But you talked about how Illuvium has the same recipe of a game that can become as huge as League of Legends and things like that, because it's using a bit new business model and it's breaking into a trending genre and things like that. Does mainstream adoption of Web3 need to happen first? Or do you feel like it's targeted so much at the Web2 audience that it shouldn't really matter? It should be it's a good game. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's all happening at the same time. That's the thing. These aren't two separate items.
Yeah.
So crypto wallet adoption is skyrocketing. Gaming in general is skyrocketing. And people looking for new games and new experiences that are engaging is also skyrocketing. So there's like no shortage of the market being primed or ready for a product like this. If you're asking what is the recipe for success, so I only told you part of what the recipe for success is. For the game itself, obviously the recipe for success is, have take an existing genre that's old, make it new and better. We're doing that with Auto Battler. Take the new business model and layer that on top. And then obviously number 3, a big part for us is and be way earlier than your competitors and grab that number 1 spot early. Because once you get a number 1 spot in a new genre or in an existing genre, it's almost impossible to dethrone that number 1 spot when you do this playbook. And so sure, that's the game. But in addition to that, it's now mandatory, if not the majority of marketing now around video games, is having influencers play your games, talk about your games, media outlets create content around your games. And your game needs to be it needs to have the components to be a content creator and media worthy game.
Yep.
And luckily Illuvium checks all of the boxes on this, except for one right now. So the components to a successful content creator game is number 1, just in a nutshell, you have to be able to make infinity content about the game. If you can't make infinity content, the game's dead. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, so number 1, the game needs to be constantly updated with brand new content into infinity. Check. Illuvium's going to have that. Number 2, the game needs to have competitive. And competitive, obviously, player versus player interactions provides infinite possibilities and infinite scenarios. So check, there's an infinite content possibility there. That's number 2. And then number 3, the game needs to have an intellectual property that's compelling enough for people to create cultural items around it, want to cosplay it, maybe want to role play it, and want to be able to make this sort of lore content around it. That's infinity content, check. That's number 3. The piece that Illuvium does not have at the moment, that is number 4, is giving players the ability to build their own thing in your universe. We do not have number 4. So we've got 3 out of the 4 things that make a game gigantic. Look at literally every top game ever. They have generally about at least 3 out of these 4 attributes I'm saying. And if they only have 2, they die. And so those are the attributes that Illuvium has. If down the road we add the ability for people to like do custom maps or to build their own whatever battle boards or whatever, I don't know, then that would make Illuvium the ultimate video game, the Infinity Gauntlet game for content creation. Think Minecraft. Minecraft has all of these attributes. Competitive, maybe not as much. Grand Theft Auto 5, GTA 5 is the perfect video game that has all 4 of these attributes. It is updated nonstop. It has PvP. You can mod it, and it has role playing and lore capabilities for people to role play the game, making Grand Theft Auto 5 probably the best content creator video game of all time.
And that's why Grand Theft Auto has been around for 9 years.
That's correct. That's why
on 3 generations. Yeah,
that's why it's been a top 3 most content created about video game globally for the last 9 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
That in Minecraft, right? So because it has those attributes,
Yeah.
all of
I
those
think.
attributes.
Yeah, 100%.
Well,
So you've
damn.
already, Grand Theft Auto. When I was doing research, was Grand Theft Auto is a nuts title. You've already started to touch on the streaming stuff, so I'm going to move on to that. And you've already answered what makes a game streamable, so that was really good. Can you give any upcoming content creators any advice on those that are looking to build an audience streaming, or like what should they do to or think about to be discovered from your experience?
Yeah. So number one, you need to pick a topic that you could talk infinitely about, and that is something that it's not work. You're always like the trouble is getting away from it because it's encroaching on your personal life too much. It's an obsession. That is number one. So if you haven't found that yet, keep looking. I guarantee there's something on planet Earth and on the internet that can be that obsession for you. And it's really important not to assume that you know what that obsession is on your first glance. And it's also important not to think it's video games. Just because you like video games doesn't mean you're going to be good at making video game content. And a lot of content creators start in gaming, and a lot of the successful ones stop making gaming content and they go make other content because it turns out gaming was not actually their obsession. It turns out it was something else if they really truly look at themselves. So that's number one. Number two, you need to distribute your content on all platforms right out the gate to find which platforms have the most traction for you, free traction for you. You need to go find disproportionate amounts of traction and get that early somewhere. So that means don't just like assume, oh, well, the top creators I'm watching are on Twitch and YouTube, and so those are the only platforms I'm going to be on. No, you should actually be on the platforms that nobody is on, so that you can be a small fish in a small pond rather than being a small fish in a big pond. And so short form content is a great opportunity for people to grow in the gaming space. A lot of gaming content creators are sleeping on that, and they're just doing long form stuff. So if you can make short form vertical videos, distribute those on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels, and Snapchat, you'll probably get much faster traction than any other method right now. That's number one. Number two, make YouTube videos. And number three, don't think that live streaming is going to grow you. Live streaming does not grow content creators. Live streaming just retains and engages your existing audience. It does not grow your audience. And those are my sage pieces of advice there. And then the final piece, which is very, very important, is to make sure you understand your own personal goals. I've talked about this before, but understand what your own personal goals are going into content creation. And in the simple version is content creation is only going to do three things for you. Number one, you can make money. Number two, you can get famous and you can grow. And then number three, you can be fulfilled emotionally. But you can't do all three of those things at the same time. And so it's impossible. So you have to figure out which of those three things are the most important to you right now. So for me, right now in my career, the getting famous part is not as important. And so that's why I kind of put my media business and my own personal brand on hold to go work on Illuvium. It's more important that I'm creatively fulfilled and that I make money. And so that's why I'm working in the crypto space. And that's why I came into the space, because those are important to me. I understood that about myself and I made that move. So what are your top priorities? Out of those three priorities, knock one of them off and then figure out of the remaining two, which is the most important, and go all in on that. If it's money, great. Realize that about yourself and then go after the money. And just realize you probably can't go get 100,000 views per video and make a ton of money at the same time. It might not happen. And it's okay. You can get a small amount of views and have a small audience and make a ton of money. And if you understand what it is that you're going for, then you can actually achieve it. If you're just hoping that you're going to be famous, make a bunch of money, and be creatively fulfilled at the same time, you'll quit within the first 6 months.
Yeah. Scarx, did you want to answer that question?
Yeah, we can really
tough
quickly
one.
answer that. It's hard for me to really pinpoint it, but if I had to be honest, being fulfilled emotionally is probably the focus for me out of the three for sure. I don't think I've told this to many people before, but I don't think everyone quite realizes that reading through my YouTube comments is often the highlight of my week. And I've made that little thing that I try to do every now and then where I do the top 3 comments of the week. It's quite obvious to you now why I do that. I mean, reading the comments, especially the nice ones, and especially the feedback. I work a lot. I work pretty well under pressure. So getting criticism and feedback is always really big for me as well. But yeah, so being fulfilled emotionally, being able to improve myself and improve my content, and then provide value to other people in this space is essentially the biggest reason I'm doing this right now. And that is where my focus lies. In terms of money and becoming famous and things, haven't really given them a whole lot of thought, to be honest.
Give them some thought. Look inside yourself. And I want to emphasize again, it's okay to want money really bad.
Yeah.
It's okay. Guys, it's okay to do that. Please do that. Realize that about yourself.
Bills require money to be paid, not dreams. So like you need to keep the lights on. So money it's a real thing. It's real life stuff.
I think I do go after the money sometimes when it makes sense, but the focus is usually to drive that straight back into the YouTube to fulfill the other aspects of my content.
Yeah. For me, it's
how about you, TS3?
For me, it's the two. It's one. So financially, I'm actually, because I'll dox myself for those that don't know. I live in China, so cost of living here is pretty low. So like financially, I'm doing okay. So out of my content, like especially with the Illuvium stuff, the finance isn't the most important thing for me. It's the other two things. It's one, I legitimately the same way that when you talk about how Grant does 20-hour days, I feel the same way. Because once you get into the zone of something, like I'll be sleeping at 5 a.m. and my wife's like, yo, why are you still up? And I don't even realize it's 5 a.m. because I'm just so stuck into it. It's just creating is super fun. And the second thing is getting famous. It's a really bad way of saying it, but yeah, it's getting famous. It's essentially building an audience. So you can then in the future leverage that to make more money, because making money now seems like I would rather have more of an audience, have more of a reach to do different things and expand and do other things. So those are my two things. Those are my two things that I'm looking at doing. Finance is important, but I kind of have finances elsewhere. Yeah.
And the one thing you can count on, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. The one thing you can count on is that your priorities will change.
Yes.
So when I got into this space, getting famous was my number one priority. And I didn't care about the money or the emotional fulfillment. I was willing to do whatever. And my priorities shifted all the time. So it's all good. Your priorities will change, and that's great. Yeah. It keeps it interesting.
It makes it fun. Yeah. It's like different levels every time. It's like, oh, yo, in this level in a video game, because I think of life as a video game. In one level, yo, I'm going to need this armor. In the next level, oh, man, there's a different enemy. I need to switch up my armor. And it's the same with priorities, I think. It's like when you're young, you just want to have fun. When you get older, you need to have think about finances. When you're older, man, you have a kid on the way. So priorities change. It is what it is. It's a natural part of,
Okay, so the next thing I wanted to cover on this overall topic is YouTube versus Twitch. Now, I've watched a lot of formerly Twitch content creators that have moved to YouTube, and I've watched a lot of their content and things like that. Obviously, with the YouTube content, you can kind of make more money. It's different depending on who you are, small, large, that sort of thing. Obviously, YouTube streaming is growing. They're growing it as fast as they can, but it's a little slow with the upgrades and the accessibility for a lot of people. Do you still recommend, as you said, you can't really grow streaming so much as you engage your current audience? Do you recommend so much doing YouTube and Twitch, or trying to focus on YouTube and hope that the streaming on YouTube just improves in terms of streaming your content?
No. Yeah. So I used to do an entire podcast just about this topic called the Digital Drop Podcast. We did like hundreds of episodes on this. Turns out almost nobody cares about this topic, but I do have very clear answers. I've researched everything on this. So the bottom line is this: you should be restreaming your content to all platforms. There is no reason to have your content be exclusive to one platform, period. And so should you stream on YouTube versus Twitch? You should stream on both. Plus you should stream everywhere. That's number one. Oh, but hold on a second. Doesn't Twitch affiliate and Twitch partnership prevent you from doing that? Do not sign Twitch's affiliate agreement. and do not sign their partnership agreement. They are predatory. They get rights over your brand. They get exclusivity, and they take too much money. You can make all the money and you can do all the things that Twitch offers without Twitch. So do not sign an agreement for exclusivity ever. The brands that sign an exclusivity agreement are the ones that die. Why isn't baseball popular right now, guys? Because baseball signed an exclusive agreement to hide their games behind a paywall.
Yeah.
Whereas
Same with
basketball, same with boxing. That's why boxing is not that popular in comparison to basketball and football and American football, which is available publicly. And so when you sign exclusivity rights to your contract to one platform, there's infinity examples to show that your brand it dies. So don't do that. So that's number one. And so number two, there's no growth to be had on Twitch. Zero. There are 14 million streamers on Twitch right now, and no algorithm to help any of them be discovered. So forget about it. It's like hoping you get discovered on Twitch is like being a random person in Manhattan on the street, just waving at the sky, going, hey, and hoping a helicopter that's flying over Manhattan sees you. It's literally statistically exactly the same as that. And so Twitch is terrible for growth. Twitch is great for engagement and community and esports and all these other things, but don't exclusively stream on Twitch. Stream everywhere using Restream. Restream used to sponsor me years ago, not anymore, but we're using Restream right now. I love the product. I use it for Illuvium shows as well. Then the next thing I tell you is focus heavily on the two things I said earlier. Focus on making YouTube videos, and then focus on turning those YouTube videos into shorts that you can release as YouTube shorts, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram Reels, because that's where all the free reach is. You want to be where the free reach is and the algorithms are that will push your content and get you new views. You don't want to be in dead platforms. Dead platforms include Twitter, they include Facebook, Instagram Core, for gamers, and then obviously Twitch would be a dead platform as well. Just not that there's no activity on those platforms, it's just that there's not sufficient discovery and there's not enough user growth for you to get fast growth like you would want as a content creator. So those are platforms that once you're already established where your growth is going to come from, then you can extend into Twitter, extend into Twitch, extend into Facebook, extend into Instagram Core with images. But those platforms are not going to grow you. That's like a phase 3, phase 2.
Yeah. And I actually want to touch on this because we kind of mentioned this at the very start of this chat as well, but about how we're pushing the content creators to be streaming on Twitch. So if your idea is that we should be on both platforms, are there any plans? One, what are the plans for content creators to continue streaming? What's the end goal of that for Illuvium? And also, is there any plans to do like streaming on both Twitch and YouTube for Illuvium, maybe on another YouTube channel, official Illuvium channel, like for streamers specifically? Is there plans for that, or are there reasons that we don't want to do that?
No, I mean, eventually we'll do all of that. So eventually on Twitch, I want to have a 24/7 Twitch stream. I'll be hosting content. We will also be hosting esports content there eventually, competitive community events. And then obviously content creators, as you know, will be streaming there 24/7 with no gaps. I would like to have that stream, that official stream, embedded into our games. And I would also like to have, once that stream is established, then and our competitive is ready, we will make a second, we'll split into two 24/7 streams. We'll have one for casual players, and then we'll have one for competitive. And you'll have two streams going simultaneously there, two official streams. Hopefully both I could get embedded in the launcher and or game. Also, all the clips from all of the Twitch streams that are good, we'll get those clipped, and then we'll get those uploaded to YouTube. And then we'll also get them distributed on other platforms. And the entire purpose of those clips is to drive traffic back to Twitch. And so it's going to be a Twitch-centric strategy at first. double streaming it or restreaming it to YouTube, sure, we can look at doing that in the future. For now, I'm cool just keeping it on Twitch and then running clips on YouTube, letting those soak into the algorithm and get discovery and drive traffic over to Twitch. Because at the end of the day, you know that Illuvium does have esports aspirations in the future, and we need to build a Twitch audience as a part of that strategy. And I need to make sure, and so this is one way to do that.
Yeah.
But sure, restreaming that content everywhere, cool. It could make sense. We'll figure it out. I don't know exactly where it would be restreamed to. So we've talked about maybe restreaming it on our archive channel or doing a gameplay specific channel, etc.
Yeah.
Maybe opening another Twitter account. Yeah, we'll explore that. I think once we have content we're very happy with on Twitch and we see that like, okay, that's our jam, that's our thing, that's what people want, then we can say, how do we take that good content now that we've figured out the content piece and then distribute it more places?
Yeah, 100%.
Just leading off from that, actually brings us into our next question and probably one of our last questions, so we can start to wrap it up very soon. But in the interview with Frobe, you discussed the cinematic camera improving the level of spectatorship, right? And I wanted to talk about that really briefly. So obviously we're moving into esports one day and all that sort of stuff. Do you see like an automated camera kind of similar to how people control the camera in like sporting events and things like that, moving it around on strings around the field and things, and even maybe going to a point of view of an alluvial and stuff like that? Do you see an automated camera or really simple spectator camera systems being implemented for the esports side of things?
Yes.
Just yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, eventually, the thing is, we'll need to, we'll need to have the like cinematic mode. I think Aaron has been referring to it as, and when he's been communicating, cinematic mode for the auto battler, and I think that that needs to be ready for players to use to move about and to see what's happening on the board. You already have the free moving camera, but I think we need better controls for that. But the reason why I say yes is because we have Grant Warwick on the team. and in my private conversations with him about this, he I think in his head, and I think Aaron's on the same page too, and Kieran knows as well, but Grant especially, he wants people to be looking at this auto battler, these graphics, and then just shitting their pants. And in order to do that, we need to, I think he's like literally told me we need to like have this like full dedicated cinematic mode where you can like press a button and it goes into this like automatic mode that you can't control. And I think the idea, and I'm speculating here, I think the reason why that works is like if you can't control it and it goes on the rails, it takes less system resources. And so that means it can bump you up to epic. It can take that ray tracing to preposterous. And then with the preset camera movements, you can get like the fullest and most ridiculous possible settings on your particular rig. I think that's the vision they have on in their head. And so that's something from a marketing perspective and from a competitive perspective and from a replay perspective that can make for great viral sharing of these clips, is if you can just press a button and it just looks as gorgeous as it can look on your rig. That's something that'll be huge. And then when we move into competitive, like, will we have all the functionality required to make competitive look good from a spectator standpoint? And will we build that into the camera? Yes, of course. We have to.
Yeah.
If it's a spectator sport, we have to like build in the ability to spectate it properly, right?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to be successful, yes.
yes. And we want to be successful, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Obviously, yeah. All right, man. I think that is a perfect place to end it. Andrew, I need to say thank you so much for coming on, man. We went well over an hour. I know your time is super valuable. We didn't even get to all the stuff we prepared, but man, so much. Is there anything? I'll say this. Again, massive thank you to Illuvium for sponsoring this podcast. Again, so much happening. Twitch stream going crazy. Illuvium Insider, so much leaked there with Grant. Illuvitalks, just a lot of stuff. Check out all Illuvium socials. There's just to keep up. There's a lot. Before we go, Andrew, is there anything you want to kind of leave us with? Plug anything? How do you want to close this out?
I would just say for everybody who hasn't done it yet, go watch that entire Overworld Illuvium Insider episode that we did earlier today. I need to go back and rewatch it because I don't even understand all the stuff that we revealed there. Like there's so much new drops and new things we showed and new things we talked about with the Overworld there more than ever. Go watch that. That'd be the plug for today. Just go watch that entire stream. And then if you're not interested in the whole stream, just go to like the final 15 minutes where Grant shows this like almost finished looking battle board. I think it's the first time what's so remarkable about it. I think it's the first time anyone's ever seeing anything that's near finished in Illuvium. Like that's what near finished looks like in Illuvium. People were like, wow, that looks gorgeous. It's like, I don't think you get it, bro. Everything's going to look that good. I don't think you get it. Like everything's going to look that good.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's taking a little bit of time to make this freaking Overworld. He's trying to get everything to that level. That's like beyond video game level. That's on like movie level. You know what I'm saying? So look at that with your own eyes. And that's me squeezing that signal through Discord, through a stream, to restream back to you. And it looks that good. I asked Grant if he could capture some 4K footage of that so we can release it. Maybe we can get it. But anyway, it's really important that people see that to understand where we're trying to be and what perfect looks like to Grant.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. All right, man. Yo, again, thank you so much for coming on. Yo, Scoriox, appreciate you as always. Obviously, this is your channel. Like, subscribe, do all.
Appreciate you being on your own channel, bro.
Yeah, appreciate you being on your channel. Thanks for allowing me to be on your channel, I guess. But yo, guys, thank you guys for watching. You know what it is. We're going to be starting with the clips again, and just be prepared. We are going to be taking over. So thank you guys for watching, and have a very, very good day.
Have a good one.